Hi, I'm Katie. I'm an alcoholic.
Hey, Katie.
Can everyone hear me fine?
Hi,
Yep.
Katie.
Good. Okay. I know a
Hi,
lot
Katie.
you couldn't hear the speaker, so if you can't hear me, let me know. So yeah, thanks for having me. I'm calling in from Boston. My sobriety date is September 9th of 2011. My home group is Cambridge Young People's. We meet tonight at 8 o'clock to 9:15, so I left a little early to make sure I could get on here. And I have a sponsor, and I don't know, I'm just super grateful for AA, and I think it's awesome that you can access an AA meeting online from the comfort of my own bed. So that's pretty cool. This was not like my first time around trying to get sober. I went to AA like and was in and out for a while and like couldn't get it. And I don't know. I'm just really grateful to be sober today. I remember one of the first things I really identified with in an Alcoholics Anonymous meeting was when somebody was sharing and they said they felt like alcohol had saved their life. And I really identified with that at the time, because I feel like if I hadn't found alcohol when I did, I feel like I might have killed myself. I was just really uncomfortable in my own skin. I just never felt like I fit. And even from like a young age, I felt different. I felt less than, and there was no real reason why, no one told me that. I just knew it to be true. And I felt like everybody else had like the skill set or like the little cheat booklet to life, and like mine just got lost in the mail. And I was just really uncomfortable, man. And I was like angry, and I just hated everything. And I picked up a drink when I was 12 or 13, and I got drunk and I loved it. And I just wanted to do it again. I was like, this is fantastic. It like fixed what I didn't really know was broken. And it just made me feel okay. And I feel like I didn't really like think anything of that. I was like, this is my new thing. And I remember before that, like I wanted to fit in. I wanted to feel a part of. And I started drinking, and like I no longer cared about that. And then B, like just by default, I had all these new friends that were also like degenerates that wanted to drink and like party like I did. So that kind of worked out. And nothing like really major happened in the beginning, but I definitely, like looking back now, it's funny, I feel like I learned so much more the longer I stay sober about like how messed up I actually was, like things that I just thought were normal. And like I think I just, water seeks its own level, and I surrounded myself with people that were doing what I was doing, so like nothing I was doing seemed out of the norm. And from the beginning of my drinking, though, it was like I drank for effect. I didn't drink because like, oh, this tastes good. I didn't want just one. When I first started drinking, I obviously didn't have much of a tolerance, so I would like have a couple beers and be like, woo. And as time progressed, like that just didn't fly. But I do remember like waking up the next day with like that pit in my stomach, and like knowing I did something that like I wouldn't have done if I was sober. That's like not my normal behavior. And that just progressively got worse and worse as like time went on. And like I would black out, and that just didn't faze me. And like people would tell me what I did, and I would just laugh. And I just didn't think it was a big deal. I thought it was normal to like throw up and continue drinking. I thought it was normal to like, oh, if I don't eat all day and then I drink, I'll get drunk faster. Like I'm brilliant. But then I realized that usually would follow with lots of throwing up. So then I would just eat a little bit, and all these like little tricks. And I thought like I was just smart and I was just clever, but like I was really just an alcoholic. And oftentimes I was like that asshole at the party, or like the person that was so sloppy they had to be taken care of, or like I just you never knew what you were going to get with me. And that used to really appeal to me. Like, I thought it was like funny and fun. Like, oh, what's going to happen tonight? Like, am I going to wake up behind a dumpster? Am I going to punch somebody in the face for no reason? Am I going to be crying in a bathtub? Like, I don't know. And I thought that that was great. And then like the more time that went on, like the more it wasn't great. And like, I didn't want to know what I did in a blackout. And like, I didn't want to see anybody. And it just got worse and worse. And I grew up in the Boston area. And when I was 19, I moved to Martha's Vineyard. I don't know if anyone's been there, but it's an awesome place in the summer. In the winter, it's a little not so awesome. But I used to go there every summer, and it's like a party island. I mean, it's an island with beautiful beaches, and like everybody's drunk all the time, like perfect. So I moved there when I was 19. I worked in bars, and I was like, I have arrived. And I worked in this one bar that was like the local watering hole, like dive bar. Ironically, it's called the Ritz, but it was a shithole. And it was like all like old crusty men. And I was like, these are my people, you know, like this is where it's at. And I worked there, and I worked in restaurants, and like I still believe that restaurants are just a breeding ground for alcoholics. Like, I mean, I've worked in restaurants in sobriety too, and I still think that. But I didn't really have any goals. I didn't have any, like, I just had nothing. I just wanted to drink. Like, I didn't even think about it. This was just what I wanted to do. And I moved there and just drank more. And the winters there, I mean, it's a tourist location in the summer. So the winter is like everything closes and it's very dull, and you're on an island, and there's like no CVS or there's no chain stores, and there's really not much else to do but get wasted. So that's what I did. And at that age, like all my friends I had gone to high school with, like they were going off and going to school, and they were like doing stuff, and I was like, I just want to get drunk. And it just progressed, and like I did a lot of things. If I could like sum up my drinking, it was just a series of very poor decisions. And I would think they were great decisions at the time, and then they usually turned out to be tragic. And like less and less people wanted to be around me. I was asked to not return to places. I don't know, man. I was just really sick. I thought drinking and driving was like an activity that I was good at. Like I would be like, oh, I drive better when I'm drunk because I'm more cautious, because like I don't want to get arrested. And it's like, that's crazy. Like now I see people that have like a couple beers, and I'm like, you're gonna drive? Like you need to relax. And I would drive around drinking. Like that was like fun, and it's horrifying. And like, I'm so grateful. And like, I feel like it's sheer dumb luck that I've never gotten a DUI. Like statistically, I don't know how that's possible, because like every day I was just drunk driving. And that like, thank God I had never killed anybody or harmed anyone. It was just insanity. And like, I never saw that there was a problem. Like it never occurred to me that my drinking was problematic. And in the end of my drinking, and like drugs are a part of my story, and I know this is AA, and what I'll say about that is I felt like it helped speed up me hitting my bottom, and I'm grateful for that. But yeah, at the end I was just like so miserable and so alone, and like I didn't have the balls to kill myself, but I just didn't want to exist anymore. And like, I didn't know what to do. And I couldn't get out of bed without like some sort of substance. Like I couldn't shower. I was late to work every day. I was on the verge of getting fired. Like everyone just looked at me with disgust. I was like barely 100 pounds, soaking wet, and like just not okay, and just dead on the inside, you know? And I like quit drinking and drugging for like 3 days, and I felt like I was going insane. And I asked somebody that I knew that had been court ordered to AA, and I was like, I don't even know why the idea popped in my head, but I asked him where there was a meeting, and he told me that there was a meeting every day near my house at 6:45 in the morning. And to this day, like I am not a morning person. Don't like it. Not thriving. It's like I could be at work at 8 or 11, and like I'm still struggling to get up and get there. That's just my baseline. but I was like, I'm going to go to that. And I woke up the next morning and I went to that meeting, and like I don't remember feeling afraid, even though like now, I mean, I was like nervous about this online meeting, like, oh, what if my computer doesn't work, you know, like I'm just an anxious person, I overthink everything. And I don't remember like thinking like that. And I like went in and I sat down, and then as soon as I sat in that chair and looked around, I was like back to my regular thinking and was like, wow, great idea, Katie. Everybody is like at minimum 30 years older than you. This is a nightmare. Like, I want to leave, but I was afraid they would like follow me outside because I had no idea how AA worked. And I don't remember what the topic was or what anybody said. I remember like saying that it was my first time, and like people clapped, and I was like, this is weird, but it's kind of nice. And you know, a couple of women came up to me after and gave me their numbers, and like what I remember is like people were so kind to me. And at the time that was like a foreign concept, because like the people I surrounded myself with and like the way I behaved, it was like kindness was not a thing. And like they didn't want anything from me. They just wanted to be kind and like reach their hand out. And those two women gave me their numbers, and in my head I was like, I'm never calling you. This is so weird. But like it was still nice, you know? And I went for like maybe a week and a half every morning, and somebody gave me a big book, and like I didn't know it was called the big book. And then, you know, like a good alcoholic, I convinced myself that I had overreacted, you know, and like things got out of hand, and like I was just going to go back to like drinking sometimes, and like it would be fine. And like, spoiler alert, it was not fine. And then I was like in and out for a couple of years. And that one time I was like able to totally forget that I ever went to AA and pretend it didn't happen. But like after that, like when I started coming back and like I really heard some stuff, and I heard people say like a head full of AA and a belly full of booze, like I didn't know what that meant until I lived it. And the last time I relapsed, it was the worst time of my life. I could not get AA out of my head. I could not get you people out of my head. And it didn't matter how much I drank or how much I drugged or anything. Like I could not shut my brain off. And like what alcohol and drugs had always done for me, it no longer worked. And it was like the worst day of my life. And then like every consecutive day was the worst day of my life. And I would get drunk and I would go to meetings and I would be like, I can't stop drinking. I don't know what to do. I need help. And they would be like, thanks, Katie, keep coming. And I'm like, no, but like, help me. Then they would suggest things like I suggest maybe calling a talk. So you go drastic, and it's like you literally can't function and you're dying. So is it drastic? Being broken enough. And like I just remember sitting in a meeting wanting to be sober more than I wanted to be messed up, and like I couldn't make it happen. And I just remember sitting there and thinking like, I'm never gonna get it, and I'm gonna die like this. Like I'm gonna be the person they talk about, like, oh, that poor girl, she just couldn't get it. And I was desperate enough and beaten into a state of willingness that I called that detox that someone had suggested to me several times. And I would say things like, I have a job, and it's like, you're about to get fired and you're late and you're drunk all day. So really, how useful are you? So I finally surrendered, and like I went to detox, and like I was willing to take all the suggestions I wasn't willing to take before. Because before I would go to AA and I would be like, I'm going to talk to nice, weird, drink their crappy coffee. And then like, I just want my life to not suck, but I don't want to do your steps. Like, I don't want to do any of this. Like when it's summertime, I'm not going to meetings. I want to go to the bar with my friends and drink Red Bull and then be confused when I'm wasted. So this time around, like I did everything differently. Someone suggested I should move into a sober house, and I personally thought that was a terrible idea. So I did it because like all of my great ideas were usually tragic, and it ended up with me being drunk. So I moved into a sober house with a bunch of women I did not want to live with. I had to listen to people fight about like who stole whose shampoo and like where's my sweater and like you didn't do your chore, and it was like a learning experience. And but it like was that extra accountability that I needed at the time. And I did the 90 meetings in 90 days, and like I got a sponsor, and I called that sponsor. And I started doing the steps, and I was like super against the steps because I was just like, these aren't going to work for me. Like, I know best. And like, how is me like telling you all the terrible things I've done and all the people I hate gonna like magically make me better? Like, I just didn't understand it. And then, and like praying, I was like, it's weird. Like, I don't get it. And then it like occurred to me one day, like, maybe there is no God, maybe there is no higher power, maybe it's like all imaginative, but like, is it going to hurt me? No. Is it going to make me feel worse? No. So I started praying, and I would just ask for the obsession to be removed. And I would just ask, because anytime I prayed before, it was like, get me out of this jackpot, like make me feel better, and or like make me stop vomiting blood, and like I won't drink again, like that crap. And it was always asking for something like specific, or like I just wasn't doing it right. And then I started asking, I had so much anxiety in my like first month. I shook like crazy. I couldn't hold a drink. And I would ask God to just relieve my anxiety just enough, if he saw fit, to like not make me want to shoot myself in the head, because that's how I felt. And I did that every day. And I went to meetings, and I was like super miserable and like not pumped to be in AA. And I felt like I was like too young to be here. You know, I felt like I got gypped. And that was a war cry before. Like, I'm too young, and like, why can't I drink for 20 more years? And it's like I wanted like 20 more years of drunken misery. Like, that's what I wanted. I felt like I got ripped off. And like, how I see it now is like, maybe God chose to spare me for whatever reason. And I'm really grateful for that. And I know I've seen some people come into AA and they're like super jazzed up about life, and they're like sober, yes, and like so happy. And like, that was not my story, man. Like, I was broken, and the only thing I really had going for me was that I was grateful to be sober, or grateful to be alive, rather. Like, I was miserable. I was so uncomfortable. I hated everyone. I used to go to meetings and tell everybody to go F themselves, and they would say, thanks, Katie, keep coming. And that would like make me more angry. But like, they still invited me to coffee, and like, they still listened to me complain about like every single thing in my life, because I just thought everything sucked. And I had a sponsor who was like, no bullshit, and she would like call me out, and she would be like, you are not that fucking important. And I would be like, oh wow, geez, she's kind of mean. But like, I needed that. I needed people to tell me the truth. And she would tell me to like try to be as honest as I could be, because she knew I was a liar. And you know, she would always pick up the phone when I called her, and she would meet with me. And like, I started doing the stuff with her. And the first time I did a 4-step, it was not like the most thorough thing, but it was like the most thorough I could handle at the time, because I was still like pretty insane. And in variety, you know, I did that again, and like, it was much more thorough and much more honest. And like, I remember when I did that 5th step with that sponsor, and like, I didn't have a white light experience. Like, God did not show himself to me, but like, I felt lighter. And I had things that I didn't even write down on my 4-step, because I was like convinced in the moment. Like, I shared that and like learned that like, it was not that bad, you know. And like, she shared like a similar experience, and I'm like, I can't believe I've carried this crap around with me for so long. And you know, I love 6 and 7. There's this book, Drop the Rock, that like, when I read it, I couldn't tell if I was like gonna have a spiritual experience or like a mental breakdown, because I'm like, I have so many character defects, and like, I didn't realize how much this affects me. And like, I don't know, man, I'm just really, really grateful that AA exists. And like, I'm sure there's a million ways to get sober, and I'm sure people do it without AA. I'm grateful I don't have to do anything alone. And like, kind of where I'm at now in life is like very different than when I first came in. And I used to, there was like certain things that I always like wished I could do, but could never make happen, you know, because I was a drunk. I always wanted to be a nurse, and I couldn't make that happen, because like, I could barely go to work, let alone like school and like read a book, right? And the other thing was, I always wanted to travel, and I never really did that, because you kind of have to save some money and like have a few brain cells to travel, and like, I was too messed up. And when I got a year sober and I moved out of that sober house, I started taking prerequisite classes for nursing school at a community college. And then I transferred to UMass Boston and got into the nursing program there. And I work as a nurse now. I've been a nurse for over a year. And like I never would have done that if it wasn't for AA. Like never. I never would have made it. And one of the hardest things I did in sobriety was move. I had gotten sober on the Vineyard, and I was there for 3 years, so sober 3 years there, and I moved up here right after my 3-year anniversary, and I was like, I'll be fine. I got 3 years, right? Like, I know everything. And it was rough, man. I didn't have a network. I didn't know anybody up here. And I was really uncomfortable. I felt like a newcomer. And like in my mind, I still like struggle with like only for me does this apply, because I hold myself to unreasonable standards. But it's like, I feel like I can't go to a meeting and say I'm having a hard time if I'm not new. And that's ridiculous. So I silently suffered for like a month, and I went to Cambridge Young People, which is now my home group. I like loved it the first time I went. I went there for a month before I raised my hand, and then I was in enough pain and raised my hand and was like, I just moved here. I'm 3 years sober. I feel like I'm new. I don't know anyone, and I'm going insane. And like, AA doesn't fail, man. Like, people came up to me and gave me their numbers and like invited me out for fellowship after. And like, now I have a huge network of people up here, and I'm just so grateful. Like, AA is literally everywhere. I also, like, at 2.5 years sober, I went traveling to New Zealand, and then out west in the US, I was gone for like 3 months by myself, and had an amazing time. Like, went to meetings on literally the other side of the planet. Like, it's like AA is everywhere. And like, I can't imagine if I had moved without AA. Like, I probably wouldn't have as many friends. And today I do the same things I did when I first got sober, you know, like I don't drink, I go to meetings, I ask for help. And like, I talk to at least one other alcoholic every day. I mean, it would be really, I've just surrounded myself with sober people. And it makes it a lot easier to stay sober. And I will also say I'm on the host committee for ICYPA, which is the International Conference of Young People, which is in Boston this summer. So I hope you can all come check that out. And service has been another like awesome part of my recovery, and like being part of conferences or just like something much bigger than you has been such a gift. And yeah, I know I'm like almost out of time, so I'll wrap it up by just saying like I'm super grateful that you guys asked me, and that I don't know, I'm just grateful to be sober, and like my life is really blessed today. So I hope somebody got something out of that. Thanks.